Good morning, Kentucky. It's Bob here in the backyard, and we are. It's been a busy summer. Some wild thing going on there lately. It slowed our videos down, but nothing slowed down your garden. So um, I want to just show you our first our rainforest looking. There's a greenhouse behind me here, but you can't see it except for the elephant ears. I want you to take a look at these babies. Um, Huge, and we don't know why they got so big, or originally I told you in the other videos we started with dahlias here, and we were going to put dahlias. So we had that box with dahlia bulbs we dug up from the fall and put them in, and this is what we got. So they're the weirdest looking dahlias I've ever seen, but we think they're really cool. So sometime mistake turns out to be quite a sight. And but today we're everything's in full bloom. Black-eyed Susans are looking beautiful. Um, the garden is full, and the whole thing with the garden this time of year uh, being our favorite part, because everything that's going to grow, we just let it out of its boundaries and just say let it go. So we got squash running everywhere, we got beans running all over the place, we got yeah, this is the fun part for me. And but there's a lot of work to it, because this is also the time you're dealing with weather, you're dealing with dry. We're dry right now. um, Things that do great in the dry are doing wonderful. Things that aren't, we're having to water. So um, it's a big garden to water, but and when your whole yard is an oasis, you gotta try to water everything. And but I wanted to show you where we're at. We we've been trying to keep up with the pests. We're totally organic, so we use no pesticides. And um, this time of year, it's tough because they're in full bloom too. And we uh, so we go through, and I know everybody doesn't have time, and we're retired, so we come out every morning, work a couple hours, and then we go do our stuff. And then if we got time, we'll come back later in the night and and harvest things. So, um, but we had some really good um, vegetables this summer. Some things worked great, some things not so great, but that is part of gardening. You just cannot expect everything to be perfect. Like I said a long time ago, garden is never perfect, never easy, and never finished. And to expect everything to grow right, you're starting off on the wrong foot, because um, you know we had zucchini, and last year we couldn't get a zucchini or yellow squash at all. We had rampicant, which is the big one, which we had one come up. I'll show you. We had one come up from last year. I don't know how that works, but um, we this year, zucchini, yellow squash come up great. Vine borer killed every one of them. We've been fighting it. I've been digging the little worms out, covering up with dirt like you're supposed to do. And, we've got, maybe a dozen zucchini, a dozen yellow squash. But the rest of our squash are doing great. Um, Pumpkins. We started off good. We got a cute little orange pumpkin about this big. Vine borer, whatever. We had squash bugs and cucumber beetles, and so that's all part of it. We had you just got to deal with it, do the best you can. Early, in the spring or early summer, when slugs are out. I do slug hunting. You put a light on your forehead and you go out there in the dark, and they show up like little spotlights. You can pick them right off. And but I did that for a couple days, about 25, 30 a shot, compared to other years where 200 slugs. So, but we've had a off and on rain you know, then no rain, and then a flood, and then no rain, and a flood. So it's it's been rough on the plants, rough on the gardeners. Um, so, but I'm just going to show you a quick shot around the yard to show you how our my wife said this morning. She said, you know, everything keeps climbing out of the bed, and it's like having a 1 year old. You put them in the crib, and then the next thing you know, they're in the living room or they're in your bed. You just can't keep them in the bed. Well, that's what this is, and everything is out of its boundaries and doing what it's supposed to do. And we're just gonna watch it and see what we get. So, all right, we'll see you in a second, and we'll show you around. This is Bob. He's back, and as you can see, our deck is in full bloom, and our fish pond is a little low, but waiting for the rain. Mandevilla, isn't that cute? That thing goes all the way up, no help, does it all by itself. Vincas. New present from a friend. Mandevillas. This is purslane. If you don't have purslane, you need to get it. Um, it's a beautiful color compared to everything else, and it's really cool because when it gets hot or dry, it'll curl its little petals up and wait till it gets some moisture. It's trying to retain moisture, I guess. And but we got it there. We got it over there next to the bubbler. Black-eyed Susan's always a winner, and roses are just, you can keep the Japanese beetles off of them. They just beautiful burst of color. 4 o'clocks, you know, they're closed now, but they will open this evening. And haven't seen a hawk moth. If you look back at my videos for a hawk moth, they're amazing. Made a hornworm, turns into what looks like a hummingbird. So look it up. Um, it's our herb garden under control, finally. It's the only garden we have under control. Coleus is a beauty. Dragon trees still looking good. There's a few dahlias we have. There's a butterfly right there. Out of that box, the ones we didn't save is making it through the butterfly bushes. This is our popcorn. Greenhouse is 8 feet tall. Corn is 9 feet tall. And it's got corn on it. It's got ears on it. Not real big though. I'm kind of surprised. It was like it had nothing in my last video. And then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, it's like, here they come. So, we can keep the raccoons off, we'll be good. These 2 squash are patty pan and custard. And I'll show you a picture. If you're not familiar with them, they're a wonderful squash. And they're just so easy to grow. But you can see they're getting to their powdery mildew and end of their life. But then they start over here, and he's pushing it right out of the vertical over here and crawling out of the bed. So figs. It's a beautiful tree. It's supposed to be a tree, I think, but it dies all the way back in this climate. And then you can't eat the little figs until they're kind of too ripe. So if you're not familiar with figs, it's a cherry tomato, tons of them. They're just grown wild, and because most of them are wild, because they planted themselves. Um, this is the garden, a little different than the last time you saw it. Tomatoes, we just let them come up. You know, we have to pick them out of the main things, but sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are doing fine, but they keep wanting to crawl across the yard. Black-eyed Susan's always the best bet. Nasturtiums, you know, that's the thing. One year we had so many of them we didn't know what to do with, and now we hardly have just one. Basil's done great. Vertical tomatoes, not great this year. We've had the blight, and we're gonna have to move our trellis somewhere else. And you know, we usually don't rotate, but something. I mean, you're supposed to take all of the when you do vertical, you're supposed to take all the leaves off the bottom anyway, but they just keep turning brown. We just can't keep, but still making tomatoes, and you know, it's 6, 7 foot tall, and some are really good, some are really strong. I mean, VTM, VDM, I think. Um, no idea, and and but and then you got the wild scarlet runner beans that have just, you know, we had them on one side and rattlesnake tongue on the other. We were hoping they'd meet in the middle. Well, they've met in the middle and got along, and now they're all crawling across the trellis. So I'm sure they're going to be at the other end, and tomatoes will be gone, but the green beans. And if you haven't planted green beans like that, it is so easy. I mean, my wife is short, and she's still, you know, I got to get. We've made a mistake of not giving a spot on the other side to get them, but I can get in there and pick them on that side. Marigolds are wild. Zinnias are just absolutely beautiful this year. And our strawberries in bags, boy, you got to water them every day in this heat. We are not, we need rain bad. This is a, I wish I could think of what the name of this lettuce is. It's almost like a romaine, but it's really delicious. And you know, this here is a butternut squash. Um, it is climbing out of its bed. And okra, still one of the most beautiful flowers, I think. I think they're gorgeous. And there's a big butternut right there. He's just about turning the color we need. And so we've got, um, these are all second planted tomatoes. These aren't the ones we planted in May. These are the ones we planted in end of June, beginning of July. And they're just loving it. I mean, there's some beautiful tomatoes on that thing. And yeah, one thing when you let your volunteer, never turn down a volunteer, but you don't know what you're going to get. You could be all cherries, or they could be all big ones, or this year's been a great mix because here's one that's just cherries, and then they're just great little clumps. This is rutabagas. Never grown rutabagas before, so I don't know. I don't think we've even eaten a rutabaga before, but our grapes, they're at the end of their year, but there's a few on there. I actually picked purple grapes off, and my wife made grape jelly, and it was good. And it's so cool to make, and she loves that kind of stuff. Make stuff out of what you grow. Um, these are tomatoes. That's one tomato. That's one tomato. And these are all. I tried to tie that one up today. And you got peppers, beets behind it, and another volunteer tomato, and green beans. Um, these are low growing you know, bush type, and they got lots of flowers on them, but just not a whole lot of beans yet. Um, Watermelon. We got a baby watermelon right back there in the corner, um, which is cool. Hopefully it makes it. We still got time. Um, these zinnias, I'll show you. These are absolutely on fire. They're just so pretty. And our grape's doing well for a new grape. He's doing okay. Um, skip over to more tomatoes. These are all Romas, and just let them sprawl. And we haven't had 50 tomatoes off of them. 2 plants. I mean, it's really gone nuts. Um, it's a shame this is what our squash looks like, our zucchini in yellow. It just, every time I get it and I try to hill it up and something tries to eat it. Um, and then there's more peppers back there. Big Jims I picked this morning. And these cute little things, we're just not sure what to do with them yet. But they're really cute. They turn bright yellow or bright orange. Yeah, this cherry tomato is insane. And they are so good. You know, you can say anything about Big Boys, you can say anything about all them, but I'll tell you, cherry tomatoes are the tastiest you can get. Um, this is our cantaloupe up the trellis, and there's our second big cantaloupe. Hopefully you can see that. And then we got one over there, and we got one over there. So, but you know, this heat's tough. This is a rampicant. We had them last year. They were growing back in the back, and somehow this one got here, so it went up. Had a big giant one right there, so we cut it and put it away for winter, and then it kept growing, so I put it on a string, and I put it on a string, and then I run it down, and now look at the size of this one hanging on there. You get it just like a regular squash. You know, you can cut it up, you can bake it, you can fry it. Um, you know, you can do just about anything. Any squash is all about the same. And so this is another, I think, yellow squash. He's hanging on there. Cucumbers, not great so far, but we've got lots of blossoms, lots of bees. So I'm sure powdery mildew is coming in really fast. So this is called a Seminole pumpkin. This was our potato bed. Our potatoes didn't work well. I got some kind of a soil pathogen, something or other going on. And so we got about half of our harvest, which hurts us because we love potatoes. But we've got more planted in the box in the back. But this with the pretty leaves on it is called Seminole, and it's some kind of a yellow pumpkin. But we don't care. And then we just loaded the whole thing with sunflowers. And I just took bird seed, just threw them all out there, and so, and then you know, here comes the. Yeah, I'm not even sure that's not the Seminole. I don't even know what that is running out there, but it's out of its bed. Um, this was our brassica bed, which did really well. Kohlrabi, cabbage. Um, we did really the best we ever did in this box, and our things falling down, and but it was you know, we had it covered all summer, and then darn white butterflies be right square in the middle of it, and you know, can't do much about that. Uh, escape, well, not escape artists. They just can get into anything. So um, as you can see, we're fighting flea beetles on our eggplant. I don't know. We come out every day and wipe them all off, and spray them off, and they come back. Give you an idea what our jungle looks like in the back. Roses are pretty. Rhubarb. Um, we got a lot of rhubarb out of it. There's another okra in the middle. 3 in the bag. Man, you just can't keep them watered enough. Not in this weather. But this is squash everywhere. Now it's got to the point where if you look like an overall view, look at the tomatoes in this thing. They're like everywhere. And we didn't plant any of them. So we got squash and tomatoes together. So you just kind of have to dig through, like, at least they're not weeds we're digging through. Big old butternut, look at the size of that dude. He's getting ready to harvest. But tomatoes are loaded. Squash, we picked a couple squash out, a couple butternuts, Jahardale, I think, and Blue Hubbard, and but they're hard to find. And all the rest of this greenery here is all purple sweet potatoes. So we're going to hopefully they're rooting down and making some sweet potatoes for us. We moved some here today. We took out our pumpkins. Our pumpkins just didn't do well. And we got this one. Now, if you look at my old videos, one of my first videos, we had squashkins, which is when 2 squash cross pollinate each other, or bees cross pollinate them. And you end up with something like this. Now that is probably a yellow squash and a pumpkin together. They not only, they don't taste very well, and you don't know what to do with them. We've tried a few, and so we don't save seeds for that reason. And then we got one eggplant that's actually the bugs haven't found yet. So we even got tomatoes coming out of our log. So that's about it. Our asparagus took a beating again this year, so hopefully next year we can get it back on track. I planted potatoes in this and see if we can get at least another crop, I hope. And but you know, this is what our garden from an overall view here. It's a jungle. Bobby's back, and so this is what our garden looks like. You know, we still got end of the second half of August, September, and half of October. So you know, our first projected frost date is October 18th. So if we can keep the weeds, the bugs, and the weather is going to cooperate a little bit, um, you know, this place is going to be a jungle. So that's the way we like it. So hopefully your garden's doing well this summer. Hopefully you got lots of tomatoes and peppers and all kinds of stuff. You know, it's the thing with gardening. You know, you can get in there in spring and you can put all your stuff in and go, whoop, I'm done until the tomatoes come out. And you just can't do it that way and get what you really want. So, you know, you got to keep up on the weeds. You know, I've seen so many gardens so far. You know, you go in and, you know, they're just full of weeds. I mean, just completely. And it's like, you know, I pick tomatoes when I can find them, you know. It's like, you know, an hour a day, just get out there and pick a few weeds and you know, you gotta watch your plants. You gotta watch you know, for bugs. You know, because once they get a hold of it, it's gone. And you know, you have to be kind of You gotta be ready for that. So hopefully yours is doing well. Hopefully you're still getting some harvest, and we still got a long way to go. And if you didn't plant, you know, just baby what you got, and you know, we'll get another video out at the end, preparing for the end, and so we'll say goodbye for now. And if you like the videos, please subscribe. You know, never going to make a cent at this, but I love teaching people, and so if you learned anything, that makes me happy. So, alrighty. So from there, we'll give you a last look at the mess, and we'll catch you later. Later.